So here's 5 tight ends to add heading into week 10 of the fantasy football season, and the first guy is Irv Smith Jr. of the Minnesota Vikings. I spoke about him a few weeks ago as a sleeper and stuff, but he finally broke out today with 4 targets, 2 catches, 10 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I know he didn't get many looks, but to get 2 touchdowns for a tight end is rare these days, and that's something you got to pay attention to. He's starting to have more of a role, is Irv Smith. In week 8, he played 79% of the snaps, so he's seeing the field a lot. The Viking offense, they're starting to do some things looking good. All the attention's going on Dalvin Cook, so Irv Smith, he's available in 93% of fantasy leagues. I would go out there and get him. He's better than most options, and there's a lot of guys who every week the status changes. And speaking about status change, the next guy is Jimmy Graham, who I said you should have dropped, but once again, Jimmy Graham proving me wrong. It seems like every other game, he either has a good game or a bad game, and in this one, he had 6 targets for 6 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown, finishing with 17.5 fantasy points. I didn't like the matchup for Graham coming in, but he proved me wrong. He did his thing here for the Bears. The Bears were down in this game early and often, and now he's got Minnesota on Monday Night Football in Week 10, so Graham available in 51% of fantasy leagues. He was just dropped in a bunch of leagues. 9% his ownage went down. So Graham, he should be out there for most of you guys to go and get. And I know if I started him, I would have finished a couple ball games earlier. The next guy is Austin Hooper, who I said on my other video to stash him before he comes back heading into Week 10. And you could honestly go out there and get him on waivers before waivers hit, before the Monday night game. He's available in 61% of fantasy leagues. Before Hooper got hurt with abdominal surgery, he had 14, 10, and 10. So he was putting up solid tight end numbers, was Austin Hooper. And now his bye week is over, and he's got 3 tasty matchups coming up going into the fantasy football playoffs. He's got Houston in Week 10, Philly in 11, and Jacksonville in 12. So if Hooper's out there, you should run right now before the games start on Monday night and go and pick him up. The next guy is a pair of teammates, actually. It's Joey and Jordan Reid from the San Francisco 49ers. George Kittle, there's mixed reports that he might come back in 2 to 4 weeks or be out for the season. But who the heck knows what's going on with him. And Joey, he outperformed Jordan Reid the other night on Thursday Night Football with 3 catches for 52 yards for 820 fantasy points. And for Jordan Reid, he had 1 lonely catch for 3 yards in that game. So I think I'm going to lean towards Joey. I said Jordan Reid was a sleeper going into last week, and the only thing he did was fall asleep because he didn't do nothing. He only had 2 targets. I know the game was out of hand, but his ownage went up 21% going into it. Said Reid, he's available in 73% of fantasy leagues, and Dwelly, he's pretty much out there in every league. He's available in 92% of leagues, and if it was up to me, the guy I'm going to take is Dwelly. He knows the playbook better. He's not injury prone like Reid and Kittle. I don't see him coming back, and he's got the rapport with Nick Mullins is Dwelly, so I would lean towards Dwelly out of those 2 tight ends. And the 5th and final guy is Gerald Everett. We spoke about him last week on the wire, but he's on a bye week, so he's another guy you could just go out there and pick up right now without wasting a waiver. His bye week is here right now. And then he's got Seattle, Tampa, and Frisco coming up. Everett last week in Miami had a decent game, 5 catches, 32 yards. And Week 7, he had 4 grabs for 28 yards and a touchdown. So he's the preferred tight end to have there in Los Angeles. Tyler Higbee, he's been invisible the whole season, except in Week 2 he had a big game. So Everett, he would be the guy to go get. And like I said, him and Hooper, you don't got to waste the waiver on right now. So if you got nothing on your bench and someone to drop, you could get these guys before the game on Monday night. So that's 5 tight ends I'm going to get heading into Week 10 on the waiver wire.